Hey vinyl community, it's Maria. It's been about 2 months since I've made a video. I've been having trouble budgeting my time. I was out of town, but I got records when I went out of town. Phoenix, Philadelphia, that'll be another video. Today, I just wanted to show records and talk about bands who I'm so glad I got to see, because we can't see any of these bands or musicians. And I'm leading up to the last band is the one that everyone wants to hear about. You might guess who it is. 30 years ago, there was a historical final show, March 1st, 94. I didn't get this video out in time for that, but unfortunately in a few days, there's another 30-year historical event. So hopefully, I'll talk about that show. But before I do that, let's start with, I got lucky. I got to see the king of surf guitar, Dick Dale, at the Earl in either 2015 or 2014. He passed away in 2019. And I'll be honest, this is Dick Dale. So this is Dick Dale and his Deltones. I had never heard of Dick Dale, or I learned about Dick Dale like a lot of Gen Xers did through Pulp Fiction, which that's another 30-year anniversary, 94. The song Miserlou was on the soundtrack to Pulp Fiction in the film. And so basically, Dick Dale created what we call surf guitar. He did a lot of unique things. He was left-handed, but he didn't change the strings, and he did this double picking. But the surf guitar, he came up with this, what they call a wet sound. And you might hear it more in the second song. I might just skip to it. Yeah, you can hear you can hear this wet sound that he came up with Leo Fender. They developed a 100-watt guitar amp. In addition to that, Dick Dale's dad was of Lebanese heritage, so Dick Dale used Middle Eastern scales in this genre that we now call surf guitar. So lucky to have seen him in his. So the Earl it's a venue in the back of a bar, so this wasn't a large venue, and the one thing I remember about the show, people were going around asking, "Hey, do you like Dick?" And but anyway, in the encore, he played Miserlou, which is going to come up next. Miserlou, he did not write it. It was a Eastern Mediterranean folk song, and it's the one when you hear it when it comes on. Yeah, Pulp Fiction is where you've heard it from. So yeah, he very fortunate to have seen Dick Dale in 2015, 2014, because he passed away in 2019. So okay, the next one. Okay. So this band started in 1981 in New York. I saw them in 92 here in Atlanta at Georgia State University, their gymnasium. They were on a bill with the Rollins Band, so it sort of goes back to their hardcore roots, although they are a hip-hop group. And I'm talking about the Beastie Boys. This is a greatest hits, but I saw them when they were touring for this record, Check Your Head. This is their third album. And so when here we go. So when in 1986, whenever Driving Along on the radio comes Fight for Your Right to Party, and I would tell my friend, no, turn it off, this is horrible. And I just did not get the Beastie Boys in 86. 89, Paul's Boutique came out. I slept on it. I had no idea where my mind was then. So in 92, the word of mouth on this album, they were learning to play their instruments at this point. The word of mouth on this was so much. I got it on CD. I got this one more recently. Is this the one? No. But it was an incredible show. The seeing Rollins Band open up for them, and then just getting lost in the crowd, because it was just, and seeing people going, oh, there's so-and-so, oh my God, there's so-and-so. I think everybody, there were a lot of people there. So luckily I was able to see them, because unfortunately, MCA passed away from cancer in 2012, so R.I.P. MCA. And then, so Mike Diamond, Mike D, Adam Horowitz, Ad Rock, they were incredible. And I think they've said, they're not gonna get together either as a duo or bring someone else in. It's like you take an element away, you can't. We're never going to see the Beastie Boys again. I'm so glad I got to see them. Let's see. Oh, so this copy of Check Your Head came out in 2009, and so it's on the Grand Royal, the Beastie Boys label, distributed by Capitol, and this, and then the next album, oh God, Ill Communication was were records I really liked, but and I don't like the Dick Dale songs with lyrics, so I'm gonna just okay. So okay, where am I now? Oh, okay. The next band that I got to see, they started in, what was it, 1965, San Francisco. They ended up doing more than 2,300 shows. They didn't do concerts. You went to see their show, and and if you've ever, they were a huge part of the counterculture in San Francisco in the 60s. If you've ever read Tom Wolfe's The Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test, they were with the Merry Pranksters, they were having acid tests at Ken Kesey's, and I am talking about the Grateful Dead. I'm so happy I got to see. I saw them in 89. I saw them in 90. Now, I did a purge of my records recently, well, about a year ago, and I purged American Beauty. But this is the first one. I didn't know a lot about the Grateful Dead, and I got the greatest hits, and I was like, oh wow, I thought they'd be like I was thinking they'd be like Black Sabbath or something. I'm just like, oh my God, it was totally different from what I had thought. And then I got Working Man's Dead. So we went to see them in the Omni in Atlanta. The Omni was a huge they had basketball there, so it was like a huge coliseum. But of course, outside, you had the parking lot scene going on, Shakedown Street. You would go, people were selling t-shirts, people were cooking shish kebabs. They were selling just to get enough money to get to the next show, and hopefully someone would gift them a ticket. And balloons full of nitrous, stuff like that. So I still have the ticket. I paid $13.50 for this one, but here's the one that you can see better. And this was $18.50, and when did I go? 1990, March 27th. Oh, this is March 27th, 89. And then this one's from 90. The Omni no longer exists. The Omni no longer exists. But like seeing the Dead was, it was incredible. And I had been living in Alabama, so I drove to Atlanta for both of those shows. And I just remember like bumping into someone we knew from Alabama, and say, oh yeah, hey, have you seen so-and-so recently? And our friend was like, I'm on tour. And she was just so self-important because she was following the Dead, you know. But yeah, going to Shakedown Street, it was so much fun. Of course, in 1995, when Jerry Garcia passed away, the Dead were really no more, but they have toured under, you know, the Other Ones, Further, which was the name of the bus that they traveled on across country, Ken Kesey and the Merry Pranksters. So, and what other, they also, oh, and Dead and Company, they've toured under that name, but you know, without Jerry Garcia, it's not the same. Oh, another good thing I just want to say about the Dead, they let people tape their shows, and they had specific, it's so hot. They had specific spots for tapers, and you know, I just remember being around people who are into the Dead. They didn't really buy studio albums. It was like, oh, I've got, you know, Portland '76, day 3, you know, and just passing around tapes, and you know, knowing people who are part of the Rainbow family, and I was adjacent to this because a friend became part of the Rainbow family. I got to witness all this, and the Rainbow family were, you know, like the people who got off tour with the Dead and came to the Rainbow gatherings. The Rainbow family's just like, no, we've been doing this year round, you just follow the Dead. Yeah, it was weird, and it was also late, you know, 89. I'm thinking, y'all are 20 years too late, you know, with just the whole hippie thing, you know. But oh, and then the other thing about oh, I didn't know this until I started researching for this video. The Grateful Dead sponsored and designed jerseys and shorts for the Lithuanian basketball team for the '92 Olympics, and they ended up winning bronze. I didn't really know that. That's sort of weird. I never knew that. Okay, so the next band, I'm so glad I got to see, and so 3 of the 7 original members have either passed away or are left. I think are left. There are only 3 of the original 7 members left. They premiered, their first appearance was '91 at Lollapalooza, and the 2 main members, I'm playing Ice-T and Ernie C. Body Count. I got to see Body Count in '93. I had moved to Munich, Germany, and a lot of the bands I would see, it was at the old Flughafen Riem, which I had thought had closed down decades before they started having bands. So they had raves outside. They had 2 different venues. I don't like the lyrics. There's some surf guitar. So yeah, there were 2 venues that bands played in, and then there were raves outside. I thought that airport had closed down decades earlier. I looked it up and it closed less than a year before I was there seeing bands. Like it really felt like this old abandoned site. So went to see Body Count there, and a few of the others I also went to see there that I'm going to be telling you about. Body Count, I just gotta say, Ice-T was quite the showman. Everyone, there was a lot of energy. I was like, where can I go where I don't fall? Like maybe it just trying to get to the soundboard, like I get pulled on. And it was the first show I was ever at where I hit the floor, because when they came on, we had beers and like plastic cups, and people just started throwing, so it was all slippery, and I'm just like, oh my God, I'm gonna fall, and if I fall, I'm gonna get trampled. And I was alone at the show, yeah, I fell. It was the first time, and before I could even start thinking, I need to get up, someone lifted me up. So this CD had come out in '92, And is this just Body Count self-titled? Yeah. Well, song number 13, Cop Killer. There's apparently I was supposed to bring this CD back and get one that didn't have Cop Killer on it. I think that Ice-T put the song Freedom of Speech to replace it. Well, I have a friend who works at a record store during that time. He's like, yeah, nobody brought their CD back and got the censored version. But so Cop Killer, obviously, there's a whole freedom of speech thing, and but if you listen to this, he's talking about, you know, bad cops that are doing horrible things and feeling the need to fight back. And a lot of these songs, there's a lot of songs about sex, evil dick, KKK bitch. Well, that's about racism and sex. And oh God, what else is on this? Let's see. KKK bitch. There Goes the Neighborhood. There's a really good, and before some of these, there are like very short, I don't know what I'm saying, like voices where I can't, I'm blanking. I'm having trouble with my memory. But yeah, so they covered a lot of topics that were important to Ice-T and Ernie C. and the other members of Body Count. And, you know, like I said, I think only 3 of the 7 are still around. Technically, you could see Body, maybe if they, you know, because it is Ice-T and Ernie C, but it's not the same as being able, and there's a gun on the back, as being able to see Body Count in '93. So I know every time I do these videos I talk about how hot it is up here. It's 2 in the morning and it's April and it's supposed to be 70 degrees out there, but it's so hot. Okay, so the next one, okay. Oh, before I go to the next one, here's a few others. This isn't a musician, but this is like a rock star chef, rock star world traveler. Anthony Bourdain, is that coming through? You have to read Kitchen Confidential. I've read his books, I've seen his show, I saw him at the Fox. And then another one that I was gonna show, okay, well, it was the MC5. I have it, here it is. I did get to see, you know, Wayne Kramer passed away recently, like less than a year ago, I'm thinking. So I did get to see MC50, and they were celebrating the 50th anniversary of Kick Out the Jams. And when I did my purge, I had a beautiful picture disc that I purged. But anyway, yeah, and then they had other, it was Wayne Kramer, there was Kim Thale from Soundgarden, and then there's some others who I just can't remember who. But anyway, yeah, saw MC50 instead of the MC5, right? So the next one isn't a band, it's a singer, songwriter, beautiful Irish musician who passed away, I think in July. Sinead O'Connor. She is absolutely incredible. Her songs are so emotional, but the song that she's most famous for was a cover of a Prince song, Nothing Compares to You. And I had never heard of, I didn't know who Sinead O'Connor was, and some neighbors of my parents gave them some tickets for Chastain Park Amphitheater, and I immediately thought, I need to sell these. But a friend of mine, we went, and he goes, I think you'd really like to hear Sinead O'Connor. So we went. There were times she was doing a cappella songs. It was the last date on the tour, so she said the tradition was all of the crew comes out and they all performed the song, the Carpenters song, oh God, why the birds suddenly appear up. They Long to Be Close to You. They all did that. Now it was Labor Day weekend 1990. I don't know if that's gonna come on. Labor Day weekend 1990, and the big scandal at that time was there's something about how she didn't want the Star Spangled Banner played for something, like I don't know but it was a huge thing, and people were going to wait outside of the amphitheater with like boom boxes playing the Star Spangled Banner. And if that happened, we didn't hear it on the inside. But that was like this big scandal. But then a couple of years later, of course, on Saturday Night Live, she tore up a picture of the Pope because, you know, she was raised Catholic and she wanted the Catholic Church to be a little more proactive about some of the stuff going on. And and she basically got canceled after that. But I noticed, so Frank Sinatra had said some things as far as threatening her with violence, and Joe Pesci was on Saturday Night Live the next week, and he said something about like punching her in the face, and everyone cheered, and he wasn't canceled for that, but she tore up a picture of the Pope, you know. Anyway, I couldn't believe the threats of violence that people, and nobody, you know, cared about that. Anyway, she really riled some feathers. Me getting to hear Sinead O'Connor's music live, and that was the first time I had ever heard her. It was absolutely incredible at that amphitheater. Okay, let's see. Okay, so the next one, I've got two more. I, in '93 in Munich, went to the Flughafen Riem and saw the Pogues. I had gone, I didn't really know a lot about the Pogues, but I loved Peacock Palace. They're from Berlin, and they opened. They're incredible. And I'm going to be honest, I don't think Shane MacGowan was with the Pogues at this point. This is their greatest hits, and then of course, If I Should Fall From Grace with God. Shane passed away, when was it? A few months ago. And if you really, and there were 30,000 mourners gathering outside the church. It was, you know, I imagine it was almost like a holiday in Ireland. If you want to hear more, Madam Sin, if you go to his channel, he did a memorial for Shane because he actually knew the guy. And, but yeah, so I have seen the Pogues. I just don't think Shane MacGowan was with them at the time, and I didn't know enough about them I don't know if Spider Stacy, he was doing the vocals. Like, I didn't know, and I'm ashamed I didn't know enough about them to know who was covering for Shane. But we lost Shane, you know, and go see Madam Sin's memorial for him. Now, and this is the one I was working my way up to. Oh, and here's my Pogues thing. So, the concert, the 30th, the historical 30th anniversary, on March 1st of '94, I was living in Munich, Germany. I was getting homesick. I had been there, it had been right at a year. Yeah, because I moved to Germany March 3rd of '93. So March 1st of '94, it's going on a year. I'm homesick. The music in Germany was just so different from here. Not a lot of people, none of my friends ever heard of Nirvana when I said, oh, that's the band. Okay, yeah, I think I sort of gave it away. But anyway, none of my friends had heard of Nirvana. I was at their final show. Of course, we didn't know it would be their final show. They had another show scheduled in Munich the next night, and then Nuremberg, then 5 weeks off, and then come back to Europe. And so yeah, I sort of I was going to work up to mentioning that it was Nirvana. This is the greatest hits. And I'm going to show, these are some incredible live albums, because I'm going to tell you the Nirvana's final show, they didn't go out with a bang. They went out with more of a whimper. So these live shows are really great. Live at the Hollywood Underground Club, Seattle, December 28th of '88. And this is one of the best. Nirvana live at the Paramount, October 31st, '91, right after Nevermind came out. My memory comes. And so if, you know, these are incredible live albums, and my beloved Unplugged that I didn't hear for another 2 decades. Like, I heard this recently, but people like to say that this is the last show, because, you know, I sort of like to think of it too, even though I was at the final show. So the show, March 1st, 94, Kurt, from my recollection, only said 2 words the entire time. He said, Dankeschön. Chris Novoselic did all the talking and engaging with the crowd. Apparently Kurt had bronchitis. That's why he didn't address the crowd. They didn't do Smells Like Teen Spirit. So I get there. Apparently it was not comfortable. Apparently that venue held 3,000 people. I would have said 800. I didn't feel like it was really that many people, but it was a sold out show. The people attending the concert, I heard German, and any of the English I heard sounded like they were from Britain. I wonder how many Americans were actually at that show. So before they came out on stage, I hear a familiar bass line, and I'm just like, this isn't one of their songs, but I know it. What song is it? It was the Cars, My Best Friend's Girl. And so one by one, they slowly come out on stage. And so they started with the cover song. And at one point, they blew, like the electricity went out for a brief period. And Chris Novoselic went off stage, strapped on an accordion, and came out, and it just started to play. And we're in Bavaria, we're in Munich, we're in Bavaria. They love accordions. He started to play, then the lights went back on. From what I heard, they had intended to do Smells Like Teen Spirit but then because of the electricity going off, they scratched that and then continued on. At one part, Chris Novoselic, he's like, he's like, I can't believe how small this venue is. Because, in the U.S., they're playing larger venues. They're pretty famous, which they weren't that famous in Munich. Like I said, none of my friends had ever even heard of them. And he said, wow, this is, we're playing venues this small. Grunge is dead. And in my memory, I was like, woo, like really loud, but I've heard the recording, and there's so much ambient sound. I think I was probably like, woo, and maybe the people around me could have heard it. In my memory, I was yelling. But so they Pat Smear was playing with them. I got to see Pat Smear. Probably won't get to see Pat Smear again, because I don't see myself ever seeing the Foo Fighters. But so I got to see Pat Smear. It was, it was very like I said, they didn't go out with a bang. They probably went out with a whimper. Immediately after that show, Kurt canceled the rest of the shows, and he went to Rome, Italy, to join his wife. And then 2 days later, overdosed on 50 Rohypnol. And at the time, I thought it was a suicide attempt. And in Europe, their prescriptions aren't in little bottles. You have to like undo the things. To undo 50 of those things, I mean, like that had to have been a suicide attempt. And they returned to the U.S. and then April 5th or so, he passed away. I think that we learned about it April 8th. And at the time I was like, did I see their last show? And but it's hard to fact check. It was 94. And I had returned to the U.S. May 1st of 94, and I bought the Rolling Stones, they're in dead rock star mode, put out the Rolling Stones Kurt Cobain tribute issue. I read it cover to cover, and in there it said their final show was at Terminal 1, Flughafen Riem, and I was like, I definitely was at it. So I kept the ticket. 5 years ago on the 25th anniversary, I did sell it, and to get money for my 50th birthday, and I ended up having to spend it. My dog had to go to the vet, but my friends gave me a party, so it ended up working out. And I really, when I talk to people who are like millennials and Gen Z, and they are like blown away that I got to see Nirvana, especially that last show. And I didn't feel overwhelmingly sad when I heard of his death. I really thought of his wife and child, but like now, decades along, it sort of makes me sad. I can like feel it and hear. And I'm sad at thinking of what he would have done, what he could have become as far as musician, and like his politics. He was woke. He was so woke in 94 and 93. He was wearing dresses. He was giving interviews to The Advocate because he's an ally. And just, really would have loved to see what he had gone on to do. So yeah, if y'all have any questions about Nirvana's last show, I hope I'm not, my memory is getting bad. I can't remember words. I can't remember things. Thanks for listening to this old Gen Xer ramble on about all the bands she's seen. So the next time I'm going to do a video of all the bands I wish I had seen. So thanks. Bye.